Glad to know you stay with us. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and Dangote Petroleum Refinery are nearing the conclusion of discussions on a significant crude oil supply agreement. The deal, expected to be finalized next week, will allow NNPC to sell crude oil to the Dangote Refinery in Naira, with a reciprocal buyback of refined petroleum products also conducted in Naira. Additionally, the refinery also revealed that oil marketers are boycotting the refinery's diesel and aviation fuel, citing concerns over its impact on their businesses. Well, for them, they're saying it's cheap and it's going to affect their markup bottom line. Well, joining me for more on this, I have Seun Dania, an energy consultant. Thank you, Seun, for joining me today.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, looking at all of this, many Nigerians sort of looked forward to the completion of the Dangote Refinery. And of course, we had expectations around that, maybe at the end of the day, we're going to start buying fuel cheap and all of this. So tell me, did you expect this back and forth we're beginning to see between NNPC and Dangote Refinery? And is it in the favor of Nigerians?
So the ongoing back and forth that we're experiencing now just lets us know the complex dynamics that we have in the Nigerian petroleum industry. Of course, the completion of the refinery is always, it's a boost for Nigeria's productivity. Nigeria will definitely gain, Nigerians will gain from it. However, we know that the back and forth that is going on between the NNPC and Dangote group right now is due to the fact that I believe that a lot of the agreements that the previous government or previous administration had entered into with Dangote, which made him, go forward with pushing this, have kind of been resided on. So we see they are just basically, the government wants to be able to ensure that the NNPC wants to be able to have some significant amount of control over the petroleum prices, well, basically PMS, and also be able to, provide a framework whereby the Dangote Refinery will be able to operate, the pricing, the distribution, and everything around what we currently have. But I mean, significantly, it's a plus for Nigerians. I believe that the government will have the interest of Nigerians at heart, especially the fact that they're discussing, selling crude in Naira and also buying the petroleum products back in Naira. It's something that we can look forward to.
All right. I mean, you said it's a good one for Nigeria. What about the business? I mean, he's in business to make money. He's not in business to feed anybody or to make anybody happy. What about that aspect? Before we come back to, what affects Nigerians. You also said something about NNPC wanting to have a level of control. Is this a deregulated environment? And is it okay for NNPC to want to have some level of control?
So PMS markets, Nigerian industry is funny, right? The petroleum industry is funny. So, other products, AGO, ATK, are deregulated. However, PMS is not deregulated. It's still fully regulated by the government. So it's always difficult for...
Did you say it's not deregulated or it's just partially deregulated?
It's not. The PMS market is not. Because, before now, right now...
We're made to understand that we're getting products at cheaper prices compared to the landing cost. Someone is paying for it.
Yeah, so it's the government is regulating it. So that is why it is not, PMS is not deregulated.
Okay.
It has not yet been deregulated, yeah, so it's still fully regulated.
Right, go ahead. You were talking about, what it is for those who are in this business. Is it good for them? I know it's good for Nigeria.
For the marketers, in the long run, short term, it might not be good for them because, of course, the refinery is a big refinery. However, I believe that everybody who is in the business of, importing products or in the business of product marketing should have seen this coming because the Dangote Refinery did not spring up overnight, right? So the discussion should have been, how do we all work to ensure that this does not disrupt our current, their current way of doing business. So they had a lot of time. And I don't think we should consider business over the Nigerian people. The Dangote Refinery, yes, they might incur some losses, but there are different ways that the negotiations can come out. If you allow me to digress a little, well, it's not digression, but if we go over how Nigeria has, since our refineries have stopped working, Nigeria has actually toyed around different ways, using crude oil swap deals. They've also done the route of subsidizing, through PPMC. They've also done the route of allowing private marketers to import fully, whereby they took their hands off it. But with this kind of situation, it would be best while they're negotiating, if they ask me, it would be best to actually have a situation whereby we go back to the refined product exchange agreement sort of deal, whereby the Dangote Refinery is not losing. So the government is saying, don't worry, don't pay us any Naira for this crude oil. Take all of that crude oil. We are giving you this much crude oil. This is the amount of refined products that we expect. And then we then pay you for refining that product. They can actually pay that either in cash, but even if the government doesn't have cash, they pay the Dangote Refinery in crude oil. So if they give you whatever mass they come up with, they can say, okay, take 1 million barrels, then we give you 10% of that or 5% or whatever it is. That Dangote Refinery then takes that crude oil as their own form of payment. They refine and sell the products at whatever prices that they want to. But the government is already able to guarantee supply based on their own crude. There's no need of any money exchanging hands. And then we have products that are guaranteed to be supplied to the Nigerian people, and not just PMS, AGO, ATK, and every other thing. And they can make money off every other, all the other refined products that come from it.
Well, that's your suggestion, right?
Yeah, that's my suggestion. And that's the method that I think, I mean, as long as there's a lot of transparency, because the only thing that messed up the refined products exchange agreements that we had back in the day was because then NNPC was not limited, it was not transparent. There was no accountability. So basically they were using third parties and middlemen to facilitate those transactions, whereby they give them crude oil. Those ones will take them to any refinery offshore. And then those guys would then import what's it called, refined petroleum products back into Nigeria. And those guys are pretty much just taking money from the government, buying petroleum products just outside in the many vessels available, really. And then the government was then paying commissions to to several middlemen. That's it made it was highly fraudulent, as reported by NIT and the Senate committee hearing at the time.
Well, let's stay with the proposal we have with us, which is NNPC asking for Naira crude buyback, where they sell to Dangote Refinery in Naira, and then when they are also purchasing the refined products, they also pay in Naira for that. What do you make of it? And add to that the other part, which is overseeing production. I mean, they're talking about 6 to 10 of their staff, NNPC staff, being stationed in Dangote Refinery and saying that Dangote Refinery should also create office space for them. What's that about, really?
Basically, it's important since they are giving a lot of the crude oil to Dangote Refinery. It's important for them to have, and of course, they're also the regulators. So it's important for them to have representation, within the facility. But notwithstanding, based on the Naira buying and selling, I personally do not think, except we see, a superior argument, I do not see any reason why money needs to be changing hands back and forth, whereby what the government needs, if they sell the crude oil to Dangote, they're still going to use that same Naira to buy back the refined product. So the refined product exchange agreement is the best thing to use to apply in this kind of situation, whereby money do not need to change hands. They are able to work out with their petroleum economists to say, well, this is how much PMS we're going to get from XYZ amount of crude oil that we're giving to you. This is how much ATK. This basically, they'll give a list of all the refined products, but they know what they're supposed to get, and they pay Dangote Refinery for providing that service. And, they basically, I think it's tidier, as opposed to exchanging money, selling crude oil in Naira, and then because the exchange rate is not stable. So at what rate are they going to, they will then need to have to peg a rate to sell the crude oil to the Dangote Refinery. And like the CEO of the chairman of Dangote Group mentioned, it's basically he's taking a risk, and it's not even just a risk. He's going to take a big hit. But at the point where he is buying crude oil in Naira, and there's currency fluctuation all the time. Every day we hear of the central bank intervening in the FX markets. Some intervention comes up, and then he's supposed to then sell the products at close to using the correct FX rates. It's but until we get to that point, I believe it's a humanitarian service that is willing to take on, and we Nigerians, we are happy for that.
When you said humanitarian service, I caught myself laughing, and I was wondering what you meant by that. Well, it's interesting. So for you feel that the Naira thing shouldn't be up for conversation, or shouldn't be up as a conversation, looking at some of the challenges you have highlighted.
Yeah, each side, the Dangote Refinery and the federal government should maintain their cash flow. There's no point of money exchanging hands when we know it's a product swap that they essentially need. So
all right,
keeps things tidier and more transparent.
All right, interesting. I'm sure you're trying to say that so we can sort of mitigate that Dangote Refinery's risk. Is that what you're trying to do?
Exactly. That would definitely mitigate the risk.
Absolutely. Hedging against risks and all of that. We'll see how that happens, because we're told that the conclusion, the discussion will be concluded by next week, and then we'll have the details by next week. But just before I let you go, let me also bring this to the conversation. The refinery also revealed that oil marketers were boycotting its diesel and aviation fuel, and he added that the refinery's low-priced diesel was counterproductive to oil marketers, as they said. It's counterproductive to their businesses, and then they even had to report him to Mr. President. Help us unpack this. What's this about?
I mean, everybody will fight back. But like I said, he had been building this refinery for a long time. So everybody should have been, putting their houses in order. People want to make profits. People want to, but I think the most important thing is the Nigerian people. Because at the end of the whole day, we shouldn't, if the oil marketers make a profit and the Nigerian economy as a whole is losing. Because right now, when we have all these fuel scarcities and this thing, the entire economy, we are unproductive. We lose so many man hours for people queuing up in petrol stations. We don't have any actual amount that we can actually put at how much Nigerian economy loses to these petroleum product shortages. So at this point, we need to think more. The oil marketers may lose some money, but then they also they can work with their margin. They go and take product from the refinery, they add their margins, and they sell to the Nigerian people. That is what it is. They know what their profit margin is. They net off the taxes and everything that they need to pay, and then they add that as a product. So what they need to do is ensure that they work hand in hand with the Dangote Refinery to ensure and make sure that the Dangote Group does not then now look into the option of going into the retail business, because that is where most of them would then be out of business completely. So they should leave them with their refining side, partner with them, take products off them, because at the end of the whole day, if they decide to then bring in investments and then, also partner with some people who decide to go into that retail, then so many people are going to be out of business and out of jobs.
That was supposed to be my next question to you about Dangote going into the retail business and, having all of those out there so people can actually buy. I mean, the Nigerians who do not have a problem with cheaper prices will definitely buy from him. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts on the show today, Seun Dania.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.